at that point, I think the end of the first quarter, start of the second quarter, we'll probably still have a pretty solid bank balance of between 2 and 3 million, I would think. So we can be pretty proactive in working out what our next phase is, whether that's more drilling, whether that's going straight to a feasibility study.
Hello, you're watching Proactive. I'm joined by Rome Resources CEO Paul Barrett. Paul, very good to speak with you. You've announced a £4.2 million strategic investment by Stanvic Mining. So good news to end the year with. Tell us a little bit about Stanvic Mining and their partnership with you.
Yeah, that's right, Stephen. So Stanvic Mining is a DRC mining venture. It's owned by a gentleman by the name of Stefan Irung, and he is an entrepreneur based in the Copper Belt down in Lubumbashi. His business is essentially commodities and petroleum products, and so he's been very successful as an entrepreneur in the area. He knows the business. Stanvic Mining itself has a number of leases in DRC, mining leases, one of which is a joint venture with Ivanhoe Mines. So, they know the business in DRC, and they like what they've seen and willing to put in a significant amount of money.
Because you had indicated you were looking for a strategic partner in the DRC, Paul. So tell us how you see this partnership moving forward.
Well, they're in essentially as a minority shareholder, so just under 20% holding. Plus, obviously, if they exercise the warrants, they will increase, but they can't go above 30, obviously. So we see them as basically an investor, a co-investor that we take with us on the story. There's no special treatment for them as such, apart from having 20%. We have offered them a place on the board so that they can be closer to understanding their investment. And I think it's we raised this money at a slight premium, so it's really good outcome. And with 4 million plus now in the bank, it's going to set us up really nicely for next year.
Paul, can you tell us how you plan to use the proceeds to take your Bisie North project forward?
Yes, absolutely. So the drilling campaign at the moment, which is kind of coming to a close, we have just a few holes left to drill on Mont Agoma, one or two on Kalayi, but essentially mostly on Mont Agoma. So we're going to extend that. We've now decided that there's a number of holes that we would like to drill underneath the high grade intercepts from previous holes. What we have been doing is extending the knowledge northwest and southeast in Mont Agoma, but actually now we're going to go underneath to chase how deep the tin and copper mineralization go. So it's something that we really wanted to do. I mean, what that does really is hopefully strengthens the resource numbers when we get them out. So the money will essentially be continuation of the drilling program, at least a couple of months, maybe 3 months, depending on what we find. We will do some additional geophysical and geological work because there's a lot of uncertainty outside the prospect areas where the mineralization goes, and I think a lot of work can be done on geophysics, maybe some more soil geochemical sampling to extend the knowledge outside these two prospects and maybe even out into new acreage. So it's a combination of getting the resource numbers, the delineation of Mont Agoma and Kalayi, and seeing what else is in the project area that we should be chasing.
And so those are the sorts of milestones then that investors should be looking out for as we enter 2025, Paul.
Well, we are behind on the reporting of the assays, and that's just something that it's the results coming out of ALS in Johannesburg has been very slow. So there will be assays coming out on the existing drilling pretty soon, and then followed by, well, we will have more reporting on the drilling and probably resources for Kalayi coming out in February, and then Mont Agoma probably a couple of months following behind that. And then we will decide at that point, I think, the end of the first quarter, start of the second quarter, we'll probably still have a pretty solid bank balance of between 2 and 3 million, I would think. So we can be pretty proactive in working out what our next phase is, whether that's more drilling, whether that's going straight to a feasibility study, whatever gives us the biggest bang for our buck in terms of value accretion.
Well, I hope you'll keep us posted on any progress with that. Thank you very much for speaking with us today.
My pleasure.
That's Rome Resources CEO Paul Barrett.